Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I am currently in the process of moving out of our townhome and we're moving into a house. And I was just thinking along the lines of setting up house and redecorating and making a new space feel like home. And it made me think about eyeshadow palettes, and while I probably won't have a place to actually display them, they're probably just going to be lined up on my bookshelf the way they always have been, I thought it would be fun to talk about the palettes that I think have the prettiest packaging, things that, if I had an area to display them, I would. Okay, so I've got quite the little pile of palettes here because it turns out so many have beautiful packaging. Let's talk first about the two palettes that I used in conjunction with something else for today's look. Today's look, by the way, is filmed and I'll link it down below in the description box, but for most of today's look I used the Search palette from Blend Bunny. I did, however, bring in two other palettes, and one of them is Merry Christmas from Oden's Eye. I think the packaging on this one's just absolutely beautiful. It's so perfectly suited to the theme. It's so seasonal. I will talk as well about its counterpart, the Christmas Eve, because they really do go together. These palettes are absolutely fantastic. I mean, of course, the quality and everything, but today we're talking about the packaging. Now, when my sister first saw these packaging designs, she said it reminded her of, I think it's rose mailing, which is a distinctive Swedish design style. It's very busy, it's very ornate and curly Q and sort of floral. Not traditional floral, but it's a very distinctive cultural style of painting and decor, and it's really lovely. My grandmother, her second marriage was to a man who was from Sweden, so there's something about these that probably, because it's kind of based on Swedish theming and Swedish design elements, it does make me feel a little bit nostalgic. Like, it takes me back to my childhood and gives me happy memories because these just feel so quintessentially holiday. My best Christmas memories are in Canada with family, one of whom was my grandmother's second husband, and we would have Swedish food and we would have Swedish games and some Swedish music. I still have a record album of Swedish folk music, and it's just, these palettes remind me of that, even though Oden's Eye may not actually be located in Sweden, and I think pretty sure they ship from China. They do have a Swedish theme to their brand. The other palette that I used in today's video in conjunction with Surge was the Wonderland palette from Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty. The packaging on this one, absolutely divine. I absolutely love it. It's so stinking beautiful. Again, perfectly on theme. It is Winter Wonderland, and the colors and the way that they have this super close-up picture of frost, but not just blue or white, not just icy colors, but there are these little peekaboos of the sun shining through in warm corals and pinks and a little bit of yellow and orange, and yet the frost itself as well has these beautiful feathery sorts of textures and colors. It's purple, it's blue, it's pink, it's a bit orange. It's magical. I think they did an absolutely wonderful job with the packaging on this one. Moving on, we have one of my all-time favorite palette packaging. It is from ColourPop, surprisingly, because, actually no, not surprisingly. I may not love ColourPop's shadow formula anymore, but I do think that overall they do a great job with packaging. Here is one of their best. At Forest Sight, when they collaborated with Raw Beauty Christie, I love this packaging because I do watercolor painting, and so this really sparks excitement in a different part of my personality, a different hobby. I love the packaging. Did I say that? I think I said that. This whole video is about packaging that I love. But look at it. It's so cute, but it's not cutesy. It's not cartoonish. It's sort of whimsical with the little mushrooms and the ferns and the florals and the botanicals and the flowers. And like these trees disappearing into the background. I love that it carries through on both sides, and the way that they did it with certain parts, it's not raised or embossed except for the word up, the name up here, but they've got these sections that are a little bit shiny, so it still gives a different texture without being too much. The whole thing is just kind of downplayed, but still being very, very present. There's no mirror, which is okay, and then the packaging, again, the design carries all the way through to the inside, and now it sort of completes the feel, because now we've got a whole tree trunk with mushrooms sprouting off the sides, and we've got some grass, and now we're sort of in the forest with this mushroom over here that we're looking at the underside. It's so well done. It's just so well done. So if I had somewhere to display, this one would certainly be there, if only for the packaging. Ooh, this is one of my all-time favorites. All-time favorite. There's an office quote just like that. Here's Queen Bee from Colored Raine. Now this packaging is actually twofold awesome. The outer sleeve has this holographic effect on the wings, As I move the palette, you can see that they're shining a little bit. I just love the honeyed, caramelly kinds of tones of the background. The honeycomb is absolutely beautiful, and the fact that they paired those colors with that shape, the honeycomb shape, and the name of the palette, look at the way it glows. It's just beautiful. Now, the inside of the palette gets even better because now you have the same exact design, but this part is lenticular. So now you can see the honeybee's wings flapping up and down as the palette moves. So again, with the dimension and the texture and these beautiful colors, absolutely just so pretty. Now the colors on the inside are stunning as well. Really good formula. But anyway, this is one of my favorite packaging that I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. It's done so well. They were incredibly creative with this, and it's just small and mighty in the product itself, but also the way that it's presented. Let's talk about the Norns palette from Oden. This is, I think, the very first palette I bought from the brand, and I love the colors of this one. You can't go wrong with blue and purple, and if you make it even better with little hints of pink or orange or gray, it just, silver, it's just even cooler. Oden always does a fantastic job with the packaging, and I love the packaging of the Norns palette because it's just kind of ethereal and fairy-like. There's something about this background, like the colors blurring together in a watercolor sort of way, and then the little wispy details of these women in the background, the three sisters. I believe the Norns are the sisters who weave the web of destiny, something like that, past, present, and future probably. And then you've got like the scales of justice sort of effect. I don't know all of the story behind the characters, but the packaging is really pretty. And Oden does a good job with with the texture, or what is holographic, or what is, something that stands out from the rest of the packaging because of little stars or sparkles or the placement of things. It's really cool. Now, Cosmic Beauty, I think, would probably be the brand that I consider has the most similar aesthetic to my own, as far as, like, if I were to make a palette, I would want it to look like this. And I'm talking about everything. The rounded corners, the texture, like the soft touch feel of the packaging itself, the color stories inside, and the packaging. We already talked about Winter Wonderland, which is so beautiful. But the Muse palette, oh man, the promo photos for this one captured my heart entirely. They were so moody and vintage floral, these soft romantic tones, a little bit dark, but just in like a boudoir kind of way, not anything other than that. And I absolutely love the florals in this one. They're so beautiful, and I think that the packaging perfectly represents the color story on the inside, which is something I love, because sometimes the packaging is one thing and the color story on the inside makes no sense with what you see. So when it's lined up on your shelf, or if it's on display somewhere, you're just kind of lost. Like, that picture doesn't remind me of what I would be using, and therefore there's this disconnect. Not so with the Muse palette for sure, because these are the colors that are inside the palette, these soft, grungy, like an evening garden kind of color story. It's beautiful. One more visit to the ColourPop world, and we have the ever-loved Limoncello palette. I absolutely love the packaging of this one. I lived in Italy for a little while. I have a whole video about it if you want to see. I'll card it above. But this packaging takes me back. It just takes me right back to all of my Italian experiences, the people and the language and the music and the food and the cities and the shops and the restaurants and the scenery and the tourist attractions and the churches. It takes me back. This just squeezes my heart a little bit. It's so perfect. The tile work, the color scheme, the lemons, the name Limoncello, the texture on the back. This is raised. Some of these are embossed. There's, again, more of a shiny texture over here. And then what's really cool about this one is every time you see a lemon, it has texture. So it actually, you can feel like the little ridges between the cells or the membranes of the lemon juice inside the fruit itself on all the lemons. And then when you see the rind of the lemon, again, it's textured like the rind of a lemon. It is so creative. And then these little flowers have this, the center parts of the flower, staples, whatever they're called, they sprout up out of the center of the flower. Those are gold. So it's just this element, this tiny little detail that brings the picture to life in a very creative and unique way. And then the inside of the palette, the design carries through. Same thing over here, more lemons with the texture. And this is actually a leatherette. This is textured as well. This was the first time that I got a ColourPop palette which had the larger pans, and I love the packaging. Now, I will say it's not my favorite palette because of color story. I find it to be a little bit rather unexciting, honestly. It's not a palette that I tend to reach for, hardly at all, but it stole my heart in the way that it's presented. And if, again, just like at first sight, if nothing else, I would want to keep it to put it on my bookshelf because it makes me happy. So Blend Money does make an appearance in today's video. Let's talk about the Lure palette. I almost didn't pull this one because it's honestly a little bit unvaried. However, what they did give us is well done. The whole theme, of course, is sirens, right? Luring luring sailors to the sea, to the depths of the ocean, to their demise, whatever, however you want to phrase it. Mermaids and mysterious mythological creatures, stories and tales and folklore. It has that kind of background to it. And I think they did a wonderful job with the packaging in that this is also textured. Now it's got glitter in it, but it's not glitter that comes off on your fingers, which is great because I can't stand glitter that comes off on my fingers. The printing is nice. I have a calligraphy business, so I like to see lettering. I like the name. It's cute. I think that it could have been done a little bit better if it carried through to the back, and also maybe if they had graded the colors a little bit more. I know we've got light green, and then dark greens and teals, but maybe if we'd added in one more color, like into purple or into pink, just to make it feel a bit more whimsical, a little bit less monochromatic, especially because those colors are reflected on the inside, and also the design does not carry through to the top of the inside. So it almost didn't make today's video, but I do like it. I don't love it the way that I love some of the other ones, but I do like it. We've got 3 more to talk about, but I'm going to clump 2 of them together. These are Stone and Rock and Jewels and Gem from Oden's. I would display these, honestly, because these are so interesting. Like, I don't have any other packaging that has this sort of design element. It's really cool with the ladies' faces kind of melting into the elements of the earth to which they are associated. And the way that around them are flying those elements like stone and rock, kind of catapulting through the air next to these women as if they're traveling on the breeze or traveling in the movement of the earth or the flow of the ocean or whatever it would be. That's kind of the feel that I get from these 2 palettes. And they're sisters, you know, they look great together. They're cute, they're interesting. They're different, and that might be the thing that really catches my eye when it's not just any old thing. It's not just a clip art design that anybody could have done with Canva. I don't know. I want to see the creativity, the spark of something unique, something different, something we haven't really seen before. Oden's does this very well. Some brands really excel and some not so much. And when I'm deciding what palette I might want to use for the day, often I may not be thinking about the colors so much as I'm thinking about the packaging that I want to hold, the packaging that delights my heart and makes me feel inspired and creative. That might end up being the deciding factor as to what palette I use for a day. It might actually come down to the way that those colors are presented. So these palettes made the list for that reason. And finally, this is an honorable mention because it's not technically the palette's packaging itself. Unfortunately, it is actually the Nomad Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette, their newest release, although they did just start, as I'm filming, they did just start revealing the clues for their next release. Anyway, I think that this is spectacular. Of course it is. It's this beautiful scenic view from the top of a bluff in Ireland. How could it not be spectacular, right? The reason it's an honorable mention is because the actual palette is this, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a textured velveteen sort of cover with little 4-leaf clovers embossed. It's cute, it's fun, but I really wish that this were the packaging because this makes me think of the colors within the palette. The different, like, look at the 4 or 5 different shades of green right here, and then blue, and then silvery kinds of tones, and those are colors that you see right here. Right? Whereas this packaging, it makes me think of maybe a pool table in an Irish pub, which is fine, again, on theme, but this doesn't remind me of all of these tones, whereas this does. We've got the blues and yellows and bronzy colors and tons of different green shades and a little bit of gold because of the gold edging on here, and silvers, and we've got sky and ocean and rock and kind of gray tones. This packaging reminds me of these colors. And I personally don't like a velvet touch. But anyway, I think that this would have been a great packaging, like an outer packaging design for the palette itself. I wish that they had been able to make that happen. Maybe they weren't. I don't know if they personally took this picture when they were in Ireland or if this is some sort of photo from Getty Images or the internet somewhere. Maybe they weren't able to get the rights for a picture like that to put it onto the product. I don't know, that's not my department, but this is the honorable mention because it's not actually the palette's packaging, it's the packaging of the palette's packaging. There you go. That's my whole video on palettes that I would display. Packaging that is just so beautiful and gets me inspired and excited. Packaging that reminds me of the colors inside. It makes me want to play with them. They make me smile. They bring back memories. They're beautiful. Whatever the case may be, these are palettes that, if I had a display area, would most likely be front and center. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me your time. Do consider liking and subscribing before you go. I tend to upload multiple videos every week, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye.